Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a new episode of Me as Well. Once again, guys, I just want to say a huge thank you for everyone who's been supporting the channel. Honestly, it really means the world. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Now, for today's guest, where do I even begin? But apart that the fact that this woman is the most kindest soul that I've was grateful enough to meet here. And as I told you, I have a couple of people here that I consider as my pillars. I presented Erica, then I presented Julie, and today I want to present you another person who is one of my biggest pillar here in Dubai. And honestly, if it wasn't for these girls, I would not be here. So today we have Sparsh.
Thank you, Mia. That was a really sweet introduction. Thank you. I'm happy to be here and thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. It really means the world to me that to have you
Yeah.
on my podcast and share a nice conversation because as I told you, I really admire you girls on a day-to-day basis. Like when I see your journey and I get to know more and more about you,
Yeah.
it's a true inspiration to me.
Oh, that means a lot, babe. Likewise.
Thank you. And I honestly, I genuinely look out to all of you. Like you are basically everything I want to be. And
Aw.
I just keep like watching out to you girls because I really admire everything you do. And that's what I call a genuine friendship. It's because it's from the heart and there's no filters.
Yeah.
Like if we mess up, we'll tell each other, listen, you've messed up, but it's fine. Don't be hard on yourself. And you're literally the sweetest. Like I still remember the first time I met you. She was the cutest little girl that was here. Like,
The
oh,
tiniest little person in kickboxing class.
exactly. Oh yeah, yes. Oh, by the way, we actually met once again at kickboxing, which I'm truly blessed of this community because through kickboxing I got the opportunity to meet wonderful people. So,
So,
Spashy baby.
tell
Yes,
me.
I call her Spashy baby. I'm the only one who can call her that, by the way.
Yes, she's the only one who can call me that.
Spashy baby,
Tell me.
as you must have seen in all my episode,
Yes.
I have this tradition. I like to ask about early years. Now,
Mm.
your early years are very different to most of us because we are all from different part of the world.
True.
So, first, tell me about your story. Where did it begin?
Where did it begin? From when I can remember, I've been here in the UAE, so I'm born and raised here. From obviously from a very young age. I think it is a unique experience to be raised here. What stood out the most to me is the exposure that you have to different cultures from such a young age.
Mm-hmm.
Like every other neighbor of ours were from a different country, so that exposes you to different lifestyles, different way of living, different beliefs. Most importantly, food. The cuisines are so different, and what that teaches you, for me personally, is how you can deal with people from different countries and cultures.
Yeah.
It enables you to do that from a very young age. So
Yeah.
when you grow older, you're more comfortable
Yeah.
in that.
100%.
So I think that was definitely one of the best highlights of growing up here in the UAE. That was good.
And how was your early years? How was your childhood here in where were you exactly? You were not in Dubai, right?
Right. I was in Abu Dhabi initially.
Yeah.
So childhood would be pretty much the same as anyone else's. You have your schools, you have I mean, I used to be in a lot of extracurricular activities, mainly track and field.
Mm-hmm.
Then would help organize annual day functions and things like that. A little bit of an all-rounder, so everywhere. But yeah, that was nothing, I would say, interesting that stood out from my childhood. It was pretty much what everyone would have gone through. So yeah.
And then I remember you mentioned at some point you went back to India, correct?
Yes, I did. So I did my schooling here, and for my undergrad, I went back to India for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
That was different, and that's when you realize. So when you're raised here, it's different when you go back to India. Like India, I'm Indian. I'm a proud Indian. Don't get me wrong, but it's not home for me.
I get
I'm
it.
raised here. My family's here. My friends are here, but on paper, UAE is not home. So you are in a bit of nomadic stage, I would say. You don't know really where you fit in. Where do I belong?
Mhm.
But with time, you realize that home is where you make it to be.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, Dubai is home. The experience in India was good. I have another set of friends there as well. You really get to see the difference of what you're used to here
Mm-hmm.
and what's it like to live in India, for example. It's really fast paced in India. But also, for example, in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, UAE in general, it's very safe.
Yeah.
So from a young age, you are exposed to such a safe environment that you would assume it's like that everywhere else in the world. But when you're in India, or when I was in India, I realized that's really not the case. You need to be more street smart. You need to look out more. So, yeah, that's one major difference that I noticed from living in India and living here.
So which part of which generation that moved to
My parents' generation. So I'm second generation here in the UAE.
here in the UAE?
Yes.
And so basically, do they, for them, for example, is
Yeah.
home India or home Dubai?
I would say for my dad and mom, UAE would be home because they've
Mhm.
been here for more than 30, 35 years. So
Wow,
it's been
that's so
it's a long time.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
They moved here when my dad was maybe 30.
mm-hmm.
So he's been here ever since then. So even for them, UAE is home.
His
And
home.
he even has his business here now.
Mhm.
So yes, so this is his base. Everyone is here. There's no one back home in India.
And how was the because you got used to a different kind of lifestyle growing up
Correct.
here, right?
Correct. Yeah.
How was it in terms of like cultural shock when you went back to India? I mean, were you able to fit in as such?
Not really, to an extent. Like,
Okay.
so maybe the core base is the same, so that maybe helped me blend in a little bit, but still wasn't the same. You
Mhm.
have this concept of NRIs in India, which are non-residential Indians. So those are Indians who are living outside.
Yeah.
So with other NRIs, I can associate, but with someone who's born and brought up in India, not so much, because our exposures are different. What we are used to is different.
Mhm.
So it wasn't hard. I mean, it's not hard to blend in with the Indian society.
Yeah.
But it was a bit of a shock. It's a bit more conservative, not as open minded as it is here in the UAE, for example. There's restrictions in terms of curfews. It's good or best advice for girls and women to be back home before 7:30, 8 p.m. It's changing now, but
Mhm.
the general trend is be home soon. That's good
Yeah.
for you. But here is not the case. I can
Ex-
be out 4 or 5 in the morning and it's absolutely safe. And I can be by myself.
Exactly. I
So,
mean, I agree on that because it's I always find it very impactful. For example, like if I look at myself from
yeah.
Mauritius, Madagascar to Dubai, every lifestyle has been different, but I still think I've learned a lot through each of those phases of
Mm,
what I used to call home at that
mm.
time, you know? But what would you say in like based on your personal experience, despite that you call Dubai home, what are the kind of challenges you go through on as someone who do you would you say you have any challenges?
I wouldn't say I had any challenges. To be honest, it's been very smooth, very easygoing. I mean, you feel welcomed here. You don't feel like an outcast. I mean, Dubai, I believe, really gives you the experience of what it is to be a citizen of the world. Because
Mm-hmm.
you have people from all over the country here, all over different countries here, sorry. And another thing I've noticed in one of my previous companies, we had almost 50, 52 nationalities working in the company. So challenges? No, I didn't have any challenges. Everyone is very welcoming and accepting, and that I think that makes Dubai really unique and a place that people want to stay.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, to answer your question, challenges, did I face any? No, not really.
No.
No.
And what would you say based on the fact that obviously we most of us are like from different countries and all of that. What would you say is the difference of being born and raised in Dubai to someone who just moved to Dubai?
Mm,
Or is there even any difference to you?
So I wouldn't say okay. It's if you are living your whole life in one place and you decide to start over somewhere else, I think the experience would be pretty much the same. You try and find a group of people that you can associate with or fit in with, and then if you don't feel welcomed or accepted by the society, you don't tend to stay there for that long, right?
Yeah.
But in Dubai, what I've noticed is you have so many different communities.
True.
So many different restaurants as well. Almost every cuisine is covered here. So
Yeah.
you can never miss home because you have everything available here. Even communities, like for example, Julie mentioned in her podcast, salsa community was one of the reasons why she stayed back. So when you find that community, when you find that group of like-minded people, you will find a way to stay.
Yeah.
It'll make you want to stay,
100%.
and it'll be home away from home for you.
Yeah.
Right? Because again, there were a few of my friends who came here for 2 or 3 years stint,
Mm-hmm.
and then they were like, you know what, I'm going to be here for 2 3 years, make some good money, and then head back home. But they're still here 8 9 years later, so there's a reason why.
Yeah. I think that's the effect of Dubai. Because I remember when I first came here, and obviously I didn't know you guys at that time because I was
Right.
still living in Business Bay.
Right.
And after 6 months, I first came here with the idea of being here for 6 months.
Mm.
And then afterwards, I moved to JVC as all right, I took 1 year lease, so I'm going to be here for 1 year. And then I was super blessed and grateful to meet you guys because I started doing martial arts and I was like, oh my God, I love this. I love that. I love the people around me. I just love everything. And again, because I think when you meet like-minded people and people that are like genuine, it just changes the whole thing, like
Right.
your whole experience in the country itself.
Exactly.
Which are the community you would relate the most, like like based on your from let's say let's start with childhood.
Childhood, growing up here, community wise, I was mainly part of just school related
Mm-hmm.
groups and activities, I would say. But in terms of communities that I joined, would be after I came back from my undergrad in India.
Okay.
Now, what I mean by that is, from a brown household, having multiple hobbies is something that's not always encouraged. It's
Yeah.
either studies, and if you're doing sports, good, great, do that till university, and then you stop that. And you
Yeah.
focus on your career and see how you can progress with that, right? So I never had an opportunity to explore different communities growing up.
Mm-hmm.
But once I came back here, I consciously made it a point to do that. And that's how I came across the kickboxing community. Joined that, the martial arts group. Then from kickboxing, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu was another community that I joined. Then salsa and the diving community as well. So that's just a few of the communities that's available here in Dubai that you can join. And the communities are so welcoming, and it's filled with people from so many different parts of the world. It's just beautiful to see how things like salsa or diving brings people together.
100%.
And it's a reason, not a reason for them to say, but they're happy knowing that there is this community they can depend on if
Mm-hmm.
or should they require any support, right? So
Yeah, I actually like that very much. And I think that's the one of the biggest beauty of community, when you realize that, you get to know someone and they tell you, oh, I'm from X country. You're like, what? Like, that's crazy, that you get the opportunity, like a place like the UAE, allowing people from different part of the world
mm,
to live here and almost build their home here.
correct.
But one thing that I don't know if people, I mean, unless you're in the UAE or maybe some people that are listening to us who's not here, does know is that you can be born and raised here,
Yes,
but you will not get the passport.
that is correct.
So do you think that was something that bothered you as much, or is it, what's your opinion about it?
All right, so here's the way you can look at it, right? It wasn't a bother or a problem, but in today's world, it's so globalized that you don't have to necessarily go back to India if that is your home country.
Mm-hmm.
People work all around the world, live their lives in different countries. You even have work from home now, so it's not really necessary you need to be in the country where your company is. So for me, it was never an issue that we didn't have the passport, but the government has made many strides in the recent past. If you look, you have the golden visa that provides an
Yeah.
opportunity for 10-year visa. So those kind of improvements or initiatives that the government's taking shows that they want the expats to continue living here for a long time. So I never felt saddened by it, but in between, yes, sometimes you do feel like a nomad. But again, like I said, once you realize home is where you make it to be,
Mm-hmm.
you immediately make peace with that. So for me, it was never an issue that I didn't have a UAE passport. It's okay. It's still home.
I really like that quote that you just said about home. It's such a nice quote, and I agree with you because I guess over the years you evolve, you
Right.
grow. You might not, like you said, you might not want to stay here forever. Some people go and decide to build a home somewhere else, or you meet someone and you decide to move somewhere else. So yeah, that's a beautiful quote. I will take that from you.
It is. I mean, another example I can give you is my dad, for example.
Mhm.
He's been here all his life. And if there are a few months of the year where he decides to work from somewhere else, for example. So again, it's okay even if you don't have the passport. You can work from anywhere. And the, uh, the, the support that the UAE government is providing entrepreneurs or even just
Yeah,
people who want to make a career, it's amazing. So they have so many opportunities in so many
exactly.
different fields, and that's one of the main attractions that's bringing so
100%.
many people here. So
100%. I think that career wise, I think the UAE had, for me, this is how I see it because obviously I was in the UK and I mean, even back home,
yeah.
even with a master's in hand, if I would go back home, I don't think I would get a job to the level of that.
Mm,
But what I mean is that what I like about the UAE is they give you that opportunity to grow. Like you can be a startup and they actually give you that opportunity to build something and, really start something that you want to start.
true.
There's one thing that I wanted to talk about
Sure.
was obviously you're from an Indian background.
Correct.
And I know that you did like the UAE like provide for all kind of communities and religion
100%.
here, so you don't feel left alone. But do you think part of being an Indian was it how do I say not hard, but how did you cope about making sure you still keep that part of your culture within the family? Because obviously you're not in a, like for example, when I was back home, like my dad's Muslim,
Yep.
okay? During Ramadan, for example, it would be extremely hard for me to fast during Ramadan in Mauritius or
Mm.
in London because I was left alone compared
Mm.
to when I'm back home in Madagascar. It's a whole thing. Like literally, we all wake up in the morning, we have our suhoor, and then we all fast together, and you almost don't feel it,
Mm.
Same for Easter. Like for me, Easter and Christmas, because my mom is Catholic, so I knew that that was the time of the year that I would always be back with my mom
Mm.
because I knew that we would celebrate Easter properly and we would have an amazing Christmas.
Right.
Because for my dad, it was just putting a Christmas tree in the house and that's it. They didn't
Right.
celebrate it like we did.
Yeah.
But how do you feel culturally? How did you keep that spark?
All right. So in India itself, you
Mhm.
have all the religions.
Yeah.
So we are used to, from a young age, celebrating everything at home, be it Christmas, be it Eid, be it Diwali. And also, there's a huge Indian community presence here in the UAE.
Yes.
So you constantly have holy festivals or Diwali festivals as organized by the bigger community, which you can join if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
So, in terms of keeping in touch with festivals and religion per se, wasn't hard
Mm-hmm.
because even let's say if you're talking about religion, along with the mosques, you have churches and Hindu temples, which you can go to if you want in the UAE. So it was never hard. You could always continue keeping that tradition and enjoying those festivals, and also going to any of the temples if you want to. So it wasn't hard. It was
It
pretty
like
easy to maintain.
yeah, like they keep that core. Do you get what I mean? Like even though yes, you're maybe not born and raised here, but yet you still have your how do you say that? You're part of your culture
Traditional
still.
values, yeah, yeah, very much intact. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
that
that's that's really. Do you know that's one thing that always like I'm always impressed because I remember when I came here, I don't know who I was talking to, but I was like, oh, um, because I wanted to get baptized
mm,
and because of the fact that my mom is Catholic, and I was like, oh, I wonder if there's anything. I remember Googling, and then you see
right.
all those Catholic church, and I'm like, who would have expect? I think people that doesn't live in Dubai have this very this image of Dubai being like very
Close, or yeah,
closed-minded and you're not allowed to do this, you're not allowed to do that. But over the years, the more and more, like even what I've been 3 years here, the more and more I see it, I feel like there's way more expat than locals,
yeah.
let alone in Dubai.
Mm.
So, and even like, I don't think it's even bothering almost. Like, you're allowed to practice your religion.
100%.
It's a very like safe environment, I
Yes,
would say, for
yes,
everybody to be who they want to be,
yes.
And I don't even feel like I've ever felt racism here.
No, me neither, never.
Did you ever feel like judged or anything like this?
Judged? No, I haven't. Again, I think it has to do a lot with the fact, like you mentioned, there's so many expats here. There is
Mm.
no one big community. Fine, maybe the Indian community, and also the Filipino community are two communities that are comparatively larger.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, there is a good balance amongst the expats. So there is no one major uh, community that stands out, for example. So I think that helps with acceptance
Yeah.
and tolerance. So people are very aware of each other's wants, needs, where they're coming from. So I think that plays a role.
And now let's talk about what I really wonder, because I know it maybe not be that different,
Mm.
but the fact that you were born and raised here, I still feel like you've seen Dubai ever since like you've been a kid, like the evolution
Yes.
of Dubai.
Yes.
What's your take on that?
Amazing to say the least. Like from what it was when I was in the 90s, I think, and there was barely anything. You
Mm-hmm.
had buildings and all, but not skyscrapers like how it is here, especially in the last 2 decades, I think, 2 to 3 decades. Massive, massive growth. And it's just wonderful and beautiful to see how the UAE has reached where they have from where
Mm-hmm.
they were. And it just goes to show the amount of support and investment the government is putting in to open up and welcome, I wouldn't say outsiders, but people from other countries into the UAE. And I'm just in awe of what the government has achieved.
It is pretty insane, to be fair. And like, even when you think about all the plans that they have for the upcoming years,
Yeah,
you're like, whoa.
this is just the beginning, you know?
Exactly. Like, whoa,
You've
like
seen nothing yet.
exactly. Like, I am still like, I remember I was reading something about the 2040 plan that they had. I was like, whoa, guys, you can be ready, because they ain't joking
Yeah,
around, like, and
yeah,
I like it because they're allowing, like, again, they're allowing growth to happen.
correct,
They want, it's all about the well-being of the people,
correct.
which I truly, truly like. Um, were you traveling much while, like, since, like, from being a kid to like,
From when I was a kid, we traveled, but not so much. It was mainly we used to do a lot of summer camps here in the UAE itself. That was our
okay,
summer break. I mean, we had the summer break. Sometimes we used to go to India to see our grandparents,
hmm,
but that was really earlier on. But that stopped later, and it became more of summer camps here or going outside, visiting other countries. But yeah,
okay. And how is that? So you would go in like different Emirates,
Emirates, no.
Emirates.
So I was primarily in Abu Dhabi. For summer camps, yes, you have a lot of institutes that organize it. So you would join one of those and they would pretty much have your entire summer break planned.
Mm-hmm.
Um, do we go to other Emirates? Yes, that happens every other month or so because we have friends all across the Emirates. So we would get together as a group, maybe do a road trip to Fujairah or Ras Al Khaimah for the weekend. Because obviously the weather there and what you get to see there is so much different from the city life in Dubai and in Abu Dhabi. So yeah, those were nice. Hiking trips were some of the other things we did. Well, yeah, but I would say in terms of activities when I was a kid, it was more limited. It has grown much more recently after Dubai really opened up.
What is your kind of hobbies? I know them, but tell me more about your.
My hobbies.
She
I
has
love
a
to
lot of.
read.
Oh yeah.
Besides reading, I like to play the piano, which is something I learned by myself, which was really hard to do, but I did it. But I would say, like looking back, it was learning how to play the piano that changed my mindset on
Okay.
approaching things in life. For example, um, so I was watching this Korean drama, and they had this background music, which was this beautiful piano piece. And I remember thinking to myself, I really wish I could play that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought, why not? Why can't I play that piece? So then I went, did my research, got a piano, and I started learning the songs that I wanted to learn. And it's just, if you really want to do it, you can do it. It's just a matter of setting your mind to it.
Yeah.
And that opened up, that just opened up so many ideas and opportunities, and the courage to take that step to do it. And that's how kickboxing happened. That's how BJJ happened. That's how salsa and diving happened. I wasn't comfortable doing any of these initially, but somewhere I found that courage to let's give it a shot. I mean, you don't know, you might end up liking it. And so far, yeah, I've really enjoyed all of these hobbies.
And she's talented, guys. She's indeed
No, I'm
talented.
not. I'm okay.
No, I mean, I've heard you. I've heard you. You made me listen to one of your. How long did it take you to learn the piano?
All right. So when I was learning the piano, I had to decide on the approach. So
Mm-hmm.
you can either decide to, I want to be a pianist, so I want to do the proper levels and start from the basics. That wasn't my end goal. What I wanted to do was learn to play the pieces that I liked. So for me, that meant get the basics right, and then it's just and learn how to read the music sheet, of course. And then it's just a matter of finding the pieces. You'll get the info everywhere, be it on YouTube. They show you how to play it. They'll break it down in pieces and chords and show you how it's done. So that's how I started learning. Now, some of the pieces that I like to play are intermediate to difficult level.
Okay.
So as a beginner, it would definitely take me longer than a person who already knows how to play the piano. So it took me, so this piece, the one that you're talking about is Passagaglia.
Yeah.
It took me 2 months to learn of almost every day, especially the first month. I remember I used to play 4 or 5 hours a day straight to the point my fingers used to hurt because I wanted to learn it that much. But yeah, it took me 2 months to learn one piece. Generally, for a person who already knows, it's a matter of weeks. But again, that wasn't my goal. So I'm happy to spend 2 months to learn a piece, but it's the piece that I want to learn.
No, I get you. And to be fair, it's like, and that is something that I like about you. It's like there could be that thing that would be difficult, but you are ready to take up the challenge and almost like to perfection. I know, like,
I
I
don't know
know,
about to perfection
no, to
though.
perfection because when I remember when was it? There was one time we were training together. You were
Hmm.
like, "No, this is not good," and you kept that. I don't know if it was a kick or if it was a punch. That
Most probably punch because it's horrible.
was it a hook?
Must be a hook. Must have been. Hook
I think
cross
we,
jabs is horrible.
yeah.
Ask Alex.
Let me just tell you guys, when you're in martial arts, getting that hook right,
It's so important.
it's a pain because either you're like me and you go, or you're too short. But let me tell you, it's a mission. And I remember she was like, "No, I need to get that right." And guess what she did? Because I still remember that time. After the class, she would stay back, go to the bags, practice, 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 practice. Even sometimes because you also do commute between Abu Dhabi and Dubai sometimes.
True.
So
2 or 3 days a week. So
exactly. So time to time she would miss class, but she would still stay back even if she missed class and class was probably over. I remember she would still be on the bag and practicing, and that is something that I really admire with you, is because you have that. When again it's saying the same thing, if you have that will and if you really want to achieve something, automatically, it's all about consistency,
right.
putting the work in. And like anything, nothing is supposed to be easy. It
Yeah.
will be hard, but then eventually it gets better.
True. And you are a great example of that as well. Yeah. Look at what you have achieved and what you have done. So yeah. Maybe that's why we're friends.
Yeah, I think, and I that's the reason why I call you girls my pillars, because there's so many ways I can. And I was always like, I used to tell my when I talked to my mom about you girls, I told her all the times, I said they are so different people, but yet we are able to connect
Right.
somehow. And I think this is the beauty of our friendship as well, is like when you see these kind of connection that are, like I kept saying, very genuine, very organic, nothing
Yes.
forced.
Yes.
And to learn from each other, because for example, there's certain thing you like and I'll be like, oh, how did you do that, like, tell me more about it,
Yeah.
and it's like vice versa. And i
True.
just i just really really admire that from like all of you girls. um so I want to ask you one thing that's been
Sure.
on my mind, talking about friendship.
Right.
were how were you able, like, based on when you were a baby, like, but not a baby, like
Childhood,
kindergarten,
yeah.
like
Hmm.
child. Were you still able to keep your friendship with all the people? Because I don't know, would you say that more or less everyone is still here in Dubai, or did some people leave?
So yes, I'm still friends with my close friends from school. I'm not kindergarten. There is one friend of mine who's here. I'm still close to her. But I have a group of friends, including me, four of us from, I would say, middle school. And
Mm-hmm.
we are still pretty close. And from the circle, just one is here in Abu Dhabi, the second one is in the States, and the third one is the fourth one is in Australia. So we still do maintain our friendship. So we do catch up every now and then whenever we can. I mean, obviously, everyone's busy with their lives, and the time difference is crazy. Australia, US, UAE. I mean, it's hard for all of us to get on a call, but we do find the time to do that, and our friendship is still very very strong, I would say.
Because I feel like, do you know why I asked you about that? It's because, do you know Chris Williamson?
Yes.
There was one time, again, I'm not going to quote word to word because that might not be exactly what he
Mm-hmm.
said, but what I understood from that episode that he was talking about, he was saying that as you grow, you might lose some friends because
True.
obviously you grow and then your way of seeing life changes, and
Right.
you might be able to connect to other friends more than the one that you had. Like, for
Right.
example, I have friends that are still very friends with me, but it's just that we went on different path,
Correct.
you know? And there's no hate, there's no hard feelings, there's nothing bad, but it's just that I respect you go this way, but
Yeah.
I'm going that way. Did you have any of that, or is it like as strong as it was from the get-go?
So from this core group, yes, it's still the same. But again, you mentioned about relating or connecting. It gets a little different because most of them are married with kids.
Mhm.
So do we still have that kind of free time to always be together and go out and do things? Not really, right? I mean, for them the priorities are different, which I mean that's the way it should be. So that's how you end up having different circle of friends who
Mhm.
end up meeting that need that you have. For example, like you and me, we're single. So for us, getting out and doing activities together, it's more easier. And that's a way that we connect. You know, you want to do salsa. I have the time to do that with you. So we can go for it together.
Yeah.
But can I ask my friends? I really want them to come, but I know it won't be possible because, okay, fine. They can maybe come out for a while, but
Mhm.
maybe not stay too late because the kids have school the next day, etc. So you don't really lose the friendship, I would say. You just end up having more circle of friends with different interests
Yeah.
that you can align with, which maybe you can't with your current set of friends. So yeah, you don't.
I completely, and I, do you know what? That's another beauty of friendship, is when you're able to respect each other's lifestyle and still be
Exactly.
there, like be like, you know what, I'm still here for you, you know.
Exactly.
I get you, but I'm still gonna be here for you.
True. Because they're still my go-to circle. If I need anything, they are the first people that I reach out to.
Yeah.
So yeah, what you said is absolutely right.
And I appreciate that. And how do you cope with all of these things that you do? Like between your friendship, between a very busy work,
Mm.
between training, between your hobbies. Do you sometimes feel like,
Overwhelmed?
yeah, then
Mm.
obviously I know your dad is in Al Queen.
Yes.
So sometime like you go there how many times per month?
Twice a month. So every alternative weekends, I'm there.
Yeah, and now you recently adopted a cute little puppy.
Yes, I did. Thank you, Lucille and Zach. She's mine now.
How
So
do
yeah.
you feel like with coping with all of that? Do you feel like it's like sometimes too much? How do you manage yourself? That's what, like, to still find time for yourself.
Right. So what I generally do is once a week, maybe it could be a Saturday or a Sunday, mostly a Sunday, I just spend that at home. I do nothing but just sit on my couch, maybe watch TV or read that book that I've been wanting to read or learn a new piece or work on that piece that I've been already working on. And that's how I recharge. I need that one day to just be by myself, doing nothing. That's it, and that helps me recharge. In terms of how I manage everything, when I feel like there's a lot going on, I try and focus on maybe one or two activities for that week. For
Mhm.
example, finding it hard to do kickboxing and jiu-jitsu that that week. So what I'm trying to do now, and include weight training. So what I'm trying to do now is, okay, this week I'm going to do kickboxing and weights. The following week I'll focus on jiu-jitsu and weights. And maybe every other week I'll focus on one day of salsa nights with you girls.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the way I try and plan it. So it's a bit more easy instead
Yeah.
of having all of this happening at the same time. Because I mean, I understand you want to do all of this and you want to, life is short. I need to do as much as I can.
Exactly.
But you need to pace it. I mean, none of this is going anywhere. You have the time to do it. But when you do it properly. So
100%.
that's how I try to do it.
100%. And what is the one thing that you would say to someone who, like, from
Hmm.
someone who was born and raised here? What is that one thing that really marked you? Like, is there anything that marked you,
One thing that really marked me,
or that you?
I think, in terms of, I can say what really added value would be the exposure that I had to all these multicultures from a young age,
Mhm.
because that has helped me a lot at work, for example, because um, in the workplace you have people from all over the world. Like I said, one of my previous organizations, almost 50, 52 nationalities. So the way a person from Japan works is very different from the way a person from Europe works, for example.
Yeah.
So if you have that understanding, you will know how to approach both the individuals and how to collaborate and bring them together to achieving, let's say, the common goal of the company. And it's possible for even someone who's new to it. But as someone who's been exposed to it at a younger age,
Mhm.
I already have that learning curve.
Yeah.
So it's much easier for me to adapt and understand where that
Exactly.
person's coming from.
Exactly. Like
So that has helped.
that self-acceptance part, right?
Self-acceptance part, also understanding them, where they're coming
Yes.
from, what makes them tick, for
Exactly.
example.
That's what I'm sorry. Excuse me. That's not like acceptance of it. Like, what I meant was acceptance of every culture.
Yes, exactly. You know, I mean, you do automatically respect all the cultures, but it's kind of inbuilt in you
Yeah.
from a young age.
Yeah.
Comes to you automatically and more
Exactly.
naturally. That's what I
And
meant.
that is something I'm also very grateful. I mean, growing up in like Mauritius,
Mhm.
because Mauritius is a very multicultural island,
Mm.
and I was exposed to so many like cultures and religion. And for example, when I came here, I was like, oh my God, it's so cool. Like, even when you were telling me, when I was telling you, my favorite celebration is Diwali because
Yeah.
you get all the sweets.
Yeah.
And this is, I got to know that just because I grew up on an island where Diwali is something you celebrate, like your neighbors, whoever you are. You might not be Indian, but like they
Yeah.
would come to your door and drop like the sweets to your house. So I feel this is something that is really beautiful because, like you said,
Yeah.
then when you're exposed in a country or in a workplace or in a community with so many like cultures, you're actually able to kind of flow in and just
Yes.
like, how do you say that?
You navigate.
Exactly. Through each and every people that you get to meet.
And it comes naturally to you, even to you.
Exactly. 100%. And guys, before we move to the rapid fire question,
There's a rapid fire round.
yes, there is something that I have a tradition, and all my guests have to go for it. It's a rapid fire question. It is a little bit fun. It is a little bit deep, but I feel like I really like. I started that with Fabio, who was my first guest.
Okay.
Then I kept doing it, and I actually really enjoy doing it because it's just so fun because you get
Fun for you.
I mean, you get to know a little. It's like in that short moment, you get to know a little bit more about the person because, like, as much as I can ask you like a trillion of question about what you like, what your hobbies are like, I feel like an hour would never be enough. and I got to know you because I stayed a lot of time with you,
Sure.
you know? And that is the reason why sometimes, like, when people, for example, when I found out that you liked anime, I was like, what? You like
anime?
She's a big fan, and I
I
was shocked, like really shocked. So, like these kind of things. So, before we move to the rapid fire question, I want to ask you,
Sure.
is there any thing that you would say, or that you could, like, any advice? I don't know if it's really an advice, like somebody that was born and raised here in Dubai, anything that you would think helped you?
Anything that helped me in what sense?
As in, like, to cope with, like, obviously, like you said, like over the years, like you consider Dubai home.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are born and raised here, but you're not a UAE local. I
Yeah.
don't know if it's a thing, and I'm only asking this because I don't know, maybe it's a thing that
Mhm.
maybe some people struggle with that.
I don't know if people, if they're, I mean, again, this generation of mine who are here, second generation born and raised here, there are many of us here. Just
Mm-hmm.
FYI, for people who don't know that, there are many of us here. It's not just me. um, I think, again, when you make peace with the fact that home is where you make it to be, it solves 90% of the
Everything.
issue, right?
All right.
Then, I mean, that's what I would tell if you're struggling with that identity crisis. If you don't
That's what I wanted.
if
Exactly. She got the word. Identity
So if you
crisis.
feel like, I'm an Indian, but this is home for me, where do I belong? I would just say, just think to yourself, home is where you make it to be. And if Dubai is where you make it to be, Dubai is home. Class.
That's it. And so now, let's move to rapid fire question.
Alrighty.
All right, ready?
Let's do this.
We're gonna start very easy. I promise. Relax, chill. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Island girl or city girl?
Mm. Island girl or city girl? I would. Oh, crap. That's a tough one. Because I like the easy life. City girl.
City?
Yeah.
Okay. If you were an anime character, who would you be and why is it so?
Naruto. Naruto, I mean, that's the anime that I absolutely love. And the reason I say that I would want to be like him, I think it's just the self belief the character has in himself to be the Hokage, which is like the leader of the city. So he has the entire series is about how he was an outcast
Mhm.
and how he had the self belief in himself that he is going to make it. And in
Mhm.
the end, he did. So, yes, it would be Naruto for
Naruto.
that reason.
Okay. BJJ or kickboxing?
You can't do that, Mia. I would
Let's say for now. Let's say right now.
Okay, I would say Muay Thai kickboxing because that's what made me fall in love with martial arts.
Yeah.
So yes, my heart is always with Muay Thai kickboxing.
I completely relate to this one.
I love BJJ. Don't get me wrong, but
It's just like
kickboxing has a
exactly
soft
because
corner.
that's where you start, you know. Okay, sake or tequila?
Sake. I hate tequila.
Oh wait, I have another one.
You can't just randomly change the question.
Revert. I can.
Okay, let's go.
Sake or doo-doo shots? Oh, she loves the doo-doo shots.
Sake.
Okay, all right. Sake, you won. What is a hidden talent that you have and that not a lot of people knows about you?
I don't really have a lot of hidden talents. I think one thing that not a lot of people know about me is the fact that I play the piano.
Okay. So far, what is your favorite memory of 2024?
2024, my favorite memory. Right now, I would say it's having Muffin around.
Yeah?
I love it. I love it. Yeah.
How do you feel? You feel like there's someone waiting for you when you're
Yeah,
coming back
and
home,
your
right?
life and your plans, everything revolves around her now, which I mean, I love it, to be honest. I like having her. You don't feel, I never felt lonely living alone, but there was always a void, I would say, which
Yes.
is filled now with Muffin at home, I would say.
So. Kisses to Muffin. If you could go back in time, where would you go and why? Go and be / go and be. And why?
Could go back in time. And why? Okay, a part of me, I think, so there was this one year that I was in a boarding school in OT in India.
Mm-hmm.
I would actually go back to that time and just relive it just because I really loved it.
Really?
Yeah, it was a really great, unique experience. Boarding schools are great. you're living with your friends the whole time, which which I personally really enjoyed, and it's a very disciplined life,
Okay.
and that introduced a lot of discipline in my life post that as well. So yes, definitely go back to that 1 year of boarding school in OT.
If you had to choose another country to, I mean, to be born and raised, other than Dubai and India, where would it be?
Mm, that's a tough one. Where would I want to be born and raised?
Okay, let's say if I ask you, oh yeah, no, let's keep it like that.
I
Something like
don't know really. Maybe somewhere in Europe, just because I love the Four Seasons and would be nice to experience that.
that. Okay, I take
Oh,
that.
no, no, no. I know. Japan. Sorry, Japan. I love Japan. Yes, I would want to be born and raised in Japan.
She went there. When was it? Last year you went to Japan?
Last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think April.
Yes, and you actually fell in love with it,
I
right?
loved it. I'm going again this year.
When?
Mostly in October.
I love it. I love it. Um, this is kind of a similar question, but it's like for your
Hmm.
future self.
Mm.
Apart from Dubai, if you had to choose, I mean, I think I guessed your answer already. Name one country that you'd be happy to move and call it home.
Japan.
I knew it. Why is it?
Definitely
Why is it? What is it with Japan that you like them like so much?
One, I really love the place in the country. It's
Mhm.
just so beautiful. Yeah. Like I think I went during the peak time of the cherry blossom season.
Yeah.
It was just so beautiful. You have so many things to do. There's so many. I mean, I love Japanese food, so the options are just unlimited. So many activities to do, and you can take these day trips to these smaller cities, which are just as beautiful, away from the city, um, which are so gorgeous. Like Tokyo is so different from Kyoto, Nara, and I just really like the country, and I love the nature,
Yeah.
and the people are amazing. The transportation system, the railway system that they have in place is just like 100 years in the future. It's just, yeah, I love
We take it. Japan. Here she comes. Not now yet. Not now. All right. I'm going to end up with my favorite question. And
it.
that question, I think I like it a lot because it's also kind of self-reflective. Self-reflective?
Mm.
Sorry, guys. I don't know what's wrong with my English today. I'll blame it with the fact that I speak French. And it's absolutely fine. So, my last question for you is
Shoot.
if you had one advice to give to your younger self, what would
Mm.
it be?
One advice to my younger self. I would say just trust the process and let things flow. What's meant for you will come to you when it's the right time. Don't try to force anything, just let it flow. And from experience, that's a reality. And that's what I would tell my younger self. Don't try to hold on to anything too tight. Don't try to force things to happen. It'll all happen in due time. Just let it flow.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Well, Sparsh, thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Mia. It was lots of fun. Thank you so much for having me. I had a blast.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing your experience.
Anytime.
And I look forward to having you again
Yeah.
on and here.
As long as there's no rapid fire questions, yes, I'm on board.
I have some plans that I have in mind, guys, but I can't just reveal it just yet. You just have to.
Sneak peek, maybe.
Sneak peek will be more than 2. That's it. That's all the sneak peek I can give. Other than that, you'll find out in the upcoming episode. But thank you so much, Sparsh, for your time.
Thank you, Mia.
I loved having this conversation with you.
Me too.
And thank you for being such a beautiful human being and keep being who you are because you're such a wonderful woman.
Thank you, Mia. Same goes to you, really. I mean, I'm really proud of what you're doing. And keep going. Sky is the limit.
Hell yeah. All right. Thank you again, Sparshi.
Take care, babe.
So now, guys, as always, I'm gonna love you and leave you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.